CBS News correspondent Kris Van Cleave joins me now from a very hot Dallas. So at one level, this is a very ordinary story. It's the middle of the summer and it's hot. Okay, of course it is. And yet there's evidence that something else is happening. One of the things, amid this heat wave nationally, 85 wildfires in 13 different states. Kris, we'll talk about Texas very specifically in a minute, but just talk to the audience about that part of the story.
Yeah, you have 18 fires now burning just across the state of Texas, around 85, and those are major fires burning across the United States, 13 states, more than 3 million acres. It used to be, even in places like California that had noted wildfire seasons, that it had a season. It would be hot for a period of time. There were fire risks because of wind. Well, that fire season is virtually year-round, and it's not just California. That is creeping further and further east, where you see wildfires not only in the summer, but in the spring. It is a threat to homes. We've seen more than a dozen homes here in Texas lost just this week because of fires, but it's also to infrastructure as well as to the environment. There's a fire burning in Yosemite National Park right now that threatens some of the oldest trees in North America, landmarks of the Yosemite Park, things that people come from around the world to see. And we're seeing those sort of old growth grand sequoias being threatened in California routinely now because of fires burning in places where 10, 15, 20 years ago you maybe wouldn't have seen fires, and fires starting at times where you wouldn't normally see them.
Kris, let's zero in on Texas a little bit. Earlier in my career, I lived in Texas twice. Amarillo for 2 years, Houston for 2 years. Texans know from summer heat, but this is definitely different. Talk to the audience about how it's different and being experienced differently in Texas this summer.
Sure thing. Well, one, we're not even through July. It's already the third hottest July on record, and it is not far off from the hottest July on record. It's been 24 or 25 days in triple-digit heat. August-like weather started at the end of May and is likely to continue through September. So yes, Texas is hot, but it is hot. It got hotter sooner, and it is staying hotter longer. The Dallas-Fort Worth area hasn't seen measurable rain in 46 days. 99% of Texas is experiencing drought conditions of some extent, and when that drought survey is updated next week, that number will likely be even higher, closer to the entire state in drought conditions. You can liken much of Texas to a tinderbox. And now you have winds today, a red flag warning. That's something you talk about in California when they worry about the winds that can blow wildfires. Same concern here. It is also, Major, the other thing, Texans are used to the heat, yes, but the population of Texas is growing and the makeup is changing. People are coming to Texas in large numbers for many Texas recent transplants. This level of heat may be a surprise, but we're seeing a doubling in the number of emergency calls because of heat issues. So even Texas residents, folks that know it's hot, are still falling victim to this heat, in part because day after day after day of 100, 105, 110, that's cumulative, and it takes a toll. Eventually, your body just doesn't keep up.
So in a situation like this, Texas, like other states that are experiencing long periods of excessive heat, have their resource allocation issues. What kind of resource issues is or will Texas face adapting to this prolonged heat wave?
Yeah, Major, the biggest question for people in Texas has been the power grid. We saw it fail rather spectacularly during an ice storm in February of 2021. There has remained real concerns about if it's hardy enough to weather any kind of severe weather, and that includes high heat. We have seen peak demand here day after day after day over the last 6 to 8 weeks. So far, that power grid has held. That's a big relief for people because the agency that runs it had warned it may need to go to rolling blackouts if demand is too high. Now, they're running almost at the margin, so that remains a big concern. Water is going to be an increasing concern. We're already seeing farmers have to sell off cattle by the thousands because the grasslands that they would eat are dying and the water that the cows would drink is evaporating. That lack of rain is significant. And as you look at the tendency for things to get hotter, things to get drier, weather to get more extreme, that means droughts last longer. Water is certainly going to be something, a commodity that's going to become very valuable here in Texas, much the way you're seeing conversations about water in Arizona, Nevada, Utah, and Colorado right now.
One last question, Kris. Texas's cities expand a lot because there's lots of land, which means generally there's lots of concrete. Concrete intensifies heat. What are urban areas doing to try to address that problem and serve their residents who need a break from the heat? Are there any interesting things you're seeing playing out in the urban parts of Texas to help their residents cope?
Well, yeah, Texas certainly likes its concrete, and I can tell you, standing on the blacktop and the concrete here adds another 15, 20 degrees to the heat. It gets real hot real fast. Cooling centers are open throughout the city of Dallas. Every public library has pallets of water and is open to anybody who needs to come in and cool off. But again, you're seeing that in places like Boston today as well. You have water parks, and a lot of the outdoor areas have those sort of splash zones that kids can play in. But really what they're encouraging people to do is stay out of the heat and drink a lot of water. And that sounds so obvious, but paramedics say in almost every instance where they get a heat call, not drinking enough water and staying out in the heat too long are the things that really do people in.
You're standing out in the heat, and we appreciate it. Kris Van Cleave, thanks so very much.
Sure thing.